Welcome back, everyone. Super excited today. I have a friend of mine and somebody who has shared experience with me, and we'll get into that for sure. My guest today is Frank Loggia. Francesco Loggia, has over 15 years of experience in the dental implant industry. And for a decade, he managed the largest independent national implant distributor. Say that 5 times. That's a tongue twister. In Canada for a premium, prominent value segment brand. Recognizing the importance of live implant training, he established IDIA in 2012, one of North America's first live implant patient training programs. In 2008, after his distributor was acquired by a major industry player, he became their national director of business development, significantly contributing to the growth of new implant line launched in Canada. Recently, Frank returned to his entrepreneurial roots and founded Implant Army. What a great name is that! An implantology program that provides participants with skills and confidence through training and mentoring in a live patient environment. Welcome, Frank. I'm so excited to get into all of that today. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for the invite, Greg. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to start to dig into the specifics in your bio. You were like super careful. It's like I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm going to draw out of the names, right? So I want to know for the 15 years that you've been in the industry. So talk to me about like foundations in dental, right? So how did you get into dental in the first place? What drew you into the industry? I love hearing about how people's journey into dental began. So why don't we start there?
Sure. Well, I guess it's a story of being at the right time, being at the right place at the right time. I got into the industry through my father. We started the partnership together. He had come back from Toronto. I live in Montreal, and he was looking for a new opportunity and ran into a neighbor of ours whose husband is an oral maxillofacial surgeon. And they start talking, and next thing you know, my father is into the dental implants as a representative for an implant line here in Quebec. Um, my father knew nothing about the dentistry. Between him and I, a tooth was a tooth. So we got into it. He was more on the sales side. I was coming out of university. So I still had like the drive of learning and I was soaking it all in with like a sponge. I bought the Carl Misch book, started reading that, was reviewing many of the blogs online. Osseo News was instrumental to my learning, and we got into it that way. So at first, we were a representative for the implant line. And then from there, we progressed into becoming a sub distributor, being basically a distributor for Eastern Canada. That grew to becoming the national distributor for this one particular line in Canada up until 2018. And then from there, we transitioned to with one of the biggest players in the industry, and yeah, that's a synopsis of how we got into of my background of the last 15 years in the implant industry.
That's amazing. I love it. And then one of the things that you and I share is a passion for education for clinicians. There's such a great need, not only just for, the weekend where here's a model there's so many different types of education programs, which I think they all fill a niche, right? I do. I truly do. Whether it's learning on models or pig jaws or cadavers or live surgery. But there is nothing like the experience for a clinician because what I've learned in my 18 years in dental and the last 11 focused on fixed full arch, and that's what we do at GNA Consult, helping practices that do fixed full arch to do it better, right? With teach coaching and training on that in the practice and being more profitable. The one thing that I've learned and still am learning, but have learned really from the very beginning is from the education to wet hand dentistry Monday morning. That leap from going to the institute or whatever education platform to doing it on their own Monday morning in clinic, that's a big mountain to climb. Have you found that? Because, I mean, you've been so education focused in implant dentistry, it seems like your entire 15-year career.
Yeah, very much. And I think education has evolved a lot from when I first started in the industry. When I first started, it was, a 2, 3 day crash course, and you're ready to, you're a certified implantologist, right? You place a couple implants on a plastic model and you're ready to go. Here in Canada, the guidelines have changed for the better. in Quebec and Ontario, they've actually the dental associations have actually mandated guidelines of at least 70 hours of continuing education. So that gives clinicians like a decent base to work off of to transition into the implants. And I completely agree with you. There's a need for the theory and there's a need for the hands-on. My focus is really on the hands-on part. I've really seen the evolution of my participants and clients. Like I don't even consider them clients because a lot of the participants that come to my courses, we end up becoming friends. And I've trained probably over 100 participants, and to this day I give them a call, and we're very good friends. And what I get a pleasure out of is seeing the evolution of somebody that comes into my course having very little confidence because they have the knowledge. So they'll come in from a 3-4 weekend course. They have the knowledge, but how do we put that knowledge into skill and confidence? And that's where uh, my programs, played a big benefit in these participants' career. And I've seen many clinicians go from, let's say, 0 implants placed, or maybe, let's say, 10 or 15 implants placed a year, and they skyrocketed up to 100 to 300. The, the benefit of a hands-on um, continuing education, on top of that, being mentored step by step by someone is crucial. And I strongly advise my clients that when they come to this course, they have to implement the education they've learned and the confidence right away when they get back to their practice. Because the longer you wait, the less confident you become, and the more information you tend to lose. So I think and I think it's crucial the hands-on education aspect, and that's why here at Implant Army we go by the model learn, perform, succeed. So you learn with the theory, you perform with the hands-on live surgery, and then you go back to your practice and you succeed. And we'll complement that with further education into other courses or with for mentorship and whatnot. So I believe on those three principles of learn, perform, succeed. And there's an aspect for the theory. There's a place for the hands-on, and then there's also a continued mentorship and continued education.
Well, I love that you focus on the fact of implement as soon as you possibly can after you get the education. Because, I mean, atrophy is a big thing, not just in dental, right? I mean, it is literally across the board. If you don't use a particular muscle, it's going to atrophy, right? We know that from working out, right? When I do and when I'm regular at it. I hope my current trainer isn't listening at the current moment, right? But it's also like with languages. For example, so my son married into a family that they're Mexican, and so at his in-laws' house, we go over there consuegro, working on that. When we go to their house, they speak Spanish in the house, and I took 3 semesters in high school. That was a while ago, Frank. I'm a little bit up there in years, right? I'm 53, but I love that I get to exercise that. And the reason why I bring all that up because my grandchildren are going to be raised bilingual. And so because I haven't used it in a while, so I get to exercise those muscles. So I'm trying at every possible stage to use it, right? I live in Phoenix, Arizona, so there's a lot of opportunity if I seek it out. As long as I continue to try to use it, it's something that will continue to build and grow. But if I just put it in the back burner for like a year or two, it won't come as naturally, even though it may be a little uncomfortable. And that's what you're talking about, right? So they might not be as proficient as they will be, but that's in everything. I love when I see clinicians get up and present cases because I go to a lot of courses. I see a lot of courses across the board. And it's not so much of show me your prettiest, shiniest case in full arch where everything went perfectly. I love when I see a speaker get up and talk about here's my biggest 3 disasters and what I had to do to try to get out of it. Because that's the reality. It's the small percentage that don't go well. And what did you do to get out of it? And what did you do to save yourself from it? What did you do to still deliver something to the patient where you were proud of it? And so making sure implementing right away. So talk to me a little bit about, because I think your program is in South America, if I'm not mistaken, right? So with you having that entrepreneurial spirit, first establishing IDIA and later now Implant Army. So what motivates you to create these educational platforms? What impact do you hope to have on the industry as a whole? Because it's a busy landscape. I could literally go through and name 8 or 10 just off the top of my head that I'm very familiar with, that's teaching implantology from singles to full arch across the board, some with really, big names, some that are for specialists, some that are for GPs, some that are a mix, some that are a continuum, I mean, we could go down that road. So talk to me a little bit about that. What is your hope and dream as an entrepreneur and as that spirit that you have?
Well, my goal is to make Implant Army a thriving platform and to eventually expand it into an industry leading community. My passion is really um, is to see the same success I've had in the industry amongst the participants. I get a lot of satisfaction in seeing participants come to my course. These type of courses require a big investment, not only of time but also monetary. And I'm not in it really for the monetary. It's really to see the satisfaction and see these participants grow to their full potential. I love following up with participants after a year or two and seeing where they've evolved in the implant industry. How many implants are they placing? How have they expanded their practice? Are they still just doing the single units? Are they doing the full arch? And what's the marketing behind it? That's all very intriguing to me. And the way and like you said, there's plenty of options out there hosted by well-known clinicians. Um, I think I'm maybe one of the few, if not maybe the only one that's really run by myself that's a non-clinician. So I come into the educational arena with a different mindset, not really from a clinical, but kind of from like a industry sales point of view. And I'm really trying to provide a complete experience. I think this is what Implant Army is trying to distinguish itself from other courses is really the experience. So first off, we're non-commercial, so all the implants are purchased, uh, you know, privately by us from the local supplier in Barranquilla, Colombia. So we have no sponsorship. Furthermore, we run a very tailored, intimate program. So it could be a minimum of 6 participants up to a max of 10 participants. The reason why it's a max of 10 participants is that we're working in a very high-end oral maxillofacial teaching institute, which only has 5 chairs. So we're not working in a dental school program where there's like 20 chairs and we're bringing in like 30, 40 students. This is a very tailored, intimate program, and participants will have one mentor per chair. So the way we work it is that 10 participants get grouped across 5 chairs. So two participants per chair with one mentor. And what ends up happening is over the course of 5 days, they get to place up to 25 implants. Furthermore, they get to assist their partners in an additional 25 implants. We also offer a turnkey solution from when they land to when they depart. So the food is included, the hotel's included. Furthermore, we also encompass, like in terms of the experience, not only the education, but we also do a little sightseeing as well. So it's a 5-day program, but on the 6th day, we take them to Cartagena, Colombia, which is about an hour's drive from Barranquilla, and we'll overnight in Cartagena, and we'll take them on a sightseeing tour, and we'll have lunch and supper in Cartagena. Um, a lot of the feedback in the past was participants fly, 6 to 8 hours to come to these courses, and it's a very intense, 4 or 5 day programs they're undertaking, and they leave, and then they think back and they're like, well, I just flew, 6 to 8 hours to whatever country, and I didn't get to experience it. I had the same experience when um, I was invited to. my last employer's head office in Latin America. And, I flew 9 hours to Brazil, and we went to I got to see the factory, and we went to, teaching institute, but I didn't get to see Rio or Sao Paulo. And I said, whenever am I going to get another chance to really come down here and do this? So that's why I said, you know what? We're going to change it up a little, and we're going to add an extra day for the sightseeing. Furthermore, from the sales point of view, I think it's very important for clinicians to understand not only the freehand, but the guided surgery aspect of it. So, yes, guided surgery involves a little more costs and whatnot. We need to get the guide, but I think it's imperative for clinicians to learn both aspects of freehand and guided. And it's for that reason that our program is going to encompass both techniques as well. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. How we're also furthermore is we're bringing North American instructors as well. So we're going to have a mix of various instructors that I personally call friends, or longtime clients and friends of mine, and clinicians that I trust, and I know they will give an excellent experience for any participant that attends an Implant Army course.
Well, I love that you're talking about the comprehensive nature of it. And I can relate to what you're talking about. So there are a number of clinicians, if they do go to courses in other parts of the world, right? If they go down to Latin or South America, that will extend their trips on their own. But the fact that because you're not a clinician and you think more of the experiential, right? Because it is intense. If they haven't done that type of advanced procedure, even if it's just single or multiple implants, or if they're going for a full arch course, it is intense, right? Mentally exhausting. It's mentally challenging for them. And then to be able to have something where it's like, no, 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 you don't even have to think about, worry about, consider. We've got that part planned as well. And Cartagena is amazing, by the way. So that's kudos to you. And if it's an hour away, why not put it as a part of the package deal? They're already down there, type of thing. And I love that. Plus the fact of bringing some North American instructors to be down there with the OMS clinic where you're doing the event. Another great feature. One of the things that I have to share with you, which is a nice bonus feature for those that are listening about this type of course, the vast majority of courses that especially are out of country don't do guided because of the extra work on the front end, right? The planning, the patients, getting the records, because you need really good records in order to do guided. And it's not a matter of let's do all guided, because you need to have the foundation of the freehand first before you go to guided. Listen to the two non-clinical, non-doctor people talking about guided surgery. But you and I have such familiarity with this and have seen this in so many different courses and heard it over and over again that guides don't work 100% of the time. So you have to know how to do the procedure freehand, even if you're going to do guided. And I think that that really takes your what you're sharing with our listening audience to the next level. That being able to put that extra effort in on their behalf makes such a big difference. And I'm glad that you shared that. So I wanted to pull that out for my listening audience as well. So I want to ask you, for yourself, because I know I've done the same. So for you, transitioning from a corporate role that you've shared a little bit about into this entrepreneurship, which sounds like you've gone from entrepreneurship to corporate back to entrepreneurship. So a little bit different, but it can be daunting for sure. So what are some of the lessons along the way? Because there's a pretty good chunk of my listening audience who either have made the leap or are considering making the leap into entrepreneurship and some type of transition. So maybe some of the lessons that you've learned along the way that you can maybe share with from your experience.
Sure. So rebuilding Implant Army. I'm kind of like back to day one of when I started the implant distribution, because nothing's given to you on a silver platter. Amid all the contacts we know, at the end of the day, you just got to build things out on your own. So I I really believe in this project. It's, I'll admit it's taking maybe a little longer than I thought, but digital marketing and building the whole marketing plan takes a little bit of time. So I think it's really believing in, one, doing the research in where you want to go. Um, so in live hands-on education, there's competition, but there's not vast competition that it's fairly saturated. And I think, you know, understanding your market, understanding your competition, and then trying to figure out how you're going to differentiate yourself. Because what I'm what I'm trying to do with Implant Army is to really have something unique and not a Me Too product. Because if it's another Me Too product, then you're pretty much going to have, you know, a very hard time to succeed. Furthermore, um, I really believe in relationship building, and that's how I grew the implant business. Is yes, people want a consultant or whatnot, but even more, they want really somebody they could trust. So it's really being honest with your clientele, being open, and building that trust, because these clients are lifetime clients. So the last thing you want to do is bring on a client and then have a retention issue, and then, you know, as many clients as you're bringing in, you're losing them. So for me, being honest, just being myself, being down to earth, really putting yourselves in your clients' shoes and understanding the risks they're taking. So yes, my clients are taking a week off from work. That's significant revenue loss. You know, taking time away from their families and whatnot. They're investing big money to coming into these courses. So it's very important for me to deliver on what I promise. And if I do so, which I know I will, you know, this builds a credibility between myself and my clients, and ideally brings a lot, you know, hopefully word of mouth. And there's no better marketing than word of mouth. So that's an important aspect that I when building a new business is to really build the long-term relationships with your clients and understand where you're going, do your research, and really bring a unique product to the market, and not having another Me Too product.
Yeah, that differentiation, we talk about that all the time with clients that we work with, right? How do you make sure you have your unique selling proposition to differentiate from others around in a really crowded field, especially in fixed full arch here in North America? Because there's, I mean, more and more competition coming in every day to try to grab a piece of that $1.5 billion a year industry, right? And especially if you're an independent clinic or if you are an emerging group and you're trying to compete against the big box stores that have a lot more resources behind it that could squeeze you out if they so chose to. So yeah, absolutely. And I love that. Great. Well, Frank, here's part of the program. Every one of my guests play. It's a little something we call What the Sleuth is Going On? It's 3 rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready to play?
I'm good. Let's get this
Okay.
done.
Question. Let's get this done. Like it's a doctor's appointment or something. I like how
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
approaching it. You're like,
Yeah.
let me just get through this if I can.
Yes, yes. What is he gonna ask me?
Question number 1. What's the worst bad breath you've ever encountered?
You know, maybe with a client, you know, and if he's from the industry, you know, just suck it up and just, you know, take one for the team, you know, just yeah. I think the worst bad breath is, you know, if you're dealing with somebody in the profession, you know, how are you going to tell them that they have bad breath, right? When they're trying to promote oral health. So just suck it up.
So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you saw the facial expressions. If you're not and you're just listening on one of the audio platforms, I can describe to you the facial expressions and the shiftiness of Frank's eyes going left and right and trying to avoid at all possible naming a name or calling someone out. He's just a nice guy. Question number 2. If you could change one thing about your smile, what would it be?
I have a crown in the front, so I'd probably maybe want to redo the crown and make it more even with the other one. So that's
Frank, do you know any dentists?
I do.
It's kind of like doctors being the worst patients ever. I think some of us in
Yes.
the dental industry.
But it's
It's not,
tricky because, you know, you go to, you know, somebody in the industry that you trust, and, you know, you keep your fingers crossed, and, you know, hopefully the product comes out the smile comes out the way you wanted it. It doesn't always. The original way I
right
broke it is
decision.
I went to go see a client, and he goes, "You're too early." So I went next door. He goes, "Go next door for lunch." I went to go bite on an olive, and I cracked my tooth. So he says, I go back and I say, "Okay, I'm doing you a favor. I came here at your request, so you got to fix my tooth." So he fixed it. It was a quick fix. It wasn't done, great. And then I went to go see somebody else to hopefully improve it a little more. And it is what it is. But yeah, I would probably want to fix that.
Sometimes you need right, not right now. Just saying. Okay, question number 3. If you could go back and be the inventor of any dental product, and no, you can't choose your own if you have something in the works or you've already created something, which one would you choose and why?
The intraoral scanner. I think that's revolutionizing uh, the industry. It's streamlining the industry so much. It's commonly used on a daily basis. I've seen the evolution of how the industry, like yourself, we've been in it for 10 plus years, and how the way technologies has streamlined the industry has been unbelievable, but even more so on the iOS scanners. And it seems like every year there's a new one or new improvements, and they're just getting better and better. And the way that they're integrating with the softwares is just it's remarkable. So I would say if I had to invent something, yeah, it would be the iOS scanner. It's a remarkable product.
Amazing technology, and it definitely is avoiding all that goop that so many patients like can't stand. I know I can't stand it, so I know it's been an incredible piece of technology for the industry. Yep, for sure. Well, Frank, I want to respect your time and my listening audience's time. In the last few minutes, is there anything I haven't asked you or that you want to share with my listening audience?
No, I think we've pretty much touched touched all aspects. For those that are interested in a live, I'll just do a little promo for myself. For those that are
I
interested
was
in
going to
a lot,
ask you anyway, so go ahead, lead into it. I was going to say, if people want to learn about Implant Army or how to get in contact with you, please share them. We'll make sure we get it in the show notes, please.
great, appreciate it. They could visit implantarmy.com. It's a 5-day intensive live hands-on surgery program in Barranquilla, Colombia. Participants have the opportunity to place up to 25 implants under the mentorship, chairside mentorship of our instructors. It's a turnkey pricing from landing to departure, and I guarantee that it'll be a career-changing experience for you. Um, and I look forward to answering any inquiries of anybody listening that wants to have some more information on the program.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And my guest today has been Frank Loggia with Implant Army. And if you want to get a hold of him, you heard the ways, and we'll make sure it gets in the show notes. I so appreciate you coming on and sharing all of your experience and knowledge with my listening audience on the Two Sleuth podcast today.